First of all, happy Friday. We are officially almost done with our first week of e-learning. So hopefully things went pretty smoothly for you. If not, please make sure you are contacting me ASAP. Okay, one of today's tasks, is just to review these devices and terms that you need to know in order to be successful for English. So some of these hopefully are a review from last year. Some of these may be totally new. You need to know all of them. So the idea is you will need to very quickly be able to identify these in text. That should be the easy part. This might take us a couple of weeks to get familiar with, but eventually that should be pretty second nature for you. The hard part then will be to analyze why the author used that device and what was the effect of that device in the text. Okay, so let's just run through these really quickly together. Simile, probably a review, right? A comparison that uses like or as, right? It sparkles like a diamond. Metaphor, that is simile's cousin, a comparison that does not use like or as. So my baby brother is a cute little teddy bear, right? He's just cuddly and precious. Personification, giving inanimate objects human-like qualities. So the leaves dance their way through the lawn. Were the leaves really boogieing and getting down? No, right? We are trying to express that they were moving in the wind. Onomatopoeia, that is when your word imitates the sound it represents. So obviously my favorite one, zap. Oxymoron is when you have opposite terms in a brief phrase. So jumbo shrimp, right? Jumbo is big, shrimp is small, but we know what that means. Here's some more examples. Idiom is a group of words established by usage as having a meaning not deductible from those of the individual words. So the way I like to think of this is if an alien was studying the English language up on Mars for months and he has it down, he knows everything. If he comes to Earth and I say, oh my gosh, it is raining cats and dogs outside, he might actually think that cats and dogs are falling from, right, the clouds. We all know, though, that that phrase means it's raining really hard. Hyperbole is when you exaggerate extremely. So when you're walking around East with your huge backpack and you're like, oh my God, this weighs a ton. Is it really 2,000 pounds? No, it's probably 20. And to you, that feels really heavy. So you're just exaggerating. An allusion is when you reference something. So look at this girl. She's like, oh, he's a real Romeo. You definitely know that from freshman year, right? That is a reference to Romeo and Juliet. Alliteration is your repetition of consonant sounds. So this one example, the funky phone flashed fluorescent lights. So I chose this example because it's sound. So in this case, most of them are F's, funky, flash, fluorescent, but phone is spelled with a PH, but it's that same sound. So that would be a part of that alliteration example as well. Pun is a play on words. Oh my gosh, look at this little duck. So funny. The duck said to the bartender, put it on my bill. Get it? Bill. Assonance is similar to alliteration, but instead of repeating consonant sounds, you're repeating vowel sounds. So try to light the fire. Hopefully you're hearing that I, that hard I sound. This is a tough one to pronounce. Synecdoche. Okay, that is when a part is made to represent the whole. So in this case, do you like my new wheels? She's not really referring to just the wheel. She's not like, oh, wow, look what's inside my tire. That's not what she's bragging on, right? She's bragging she just got this new car. Irony, and there are 3 different types of irony. We will review that as we continue the year, but if people just say irony, usually they're referring to situational irony. So in that case, when something unexpected happens, so kind of ironic that this says nothing is carved in stone, when in fact that saying is literally carved in stone. Imagery is a pretty easy one, right? Those are descriptions that appeal to your senses. So anything you can smell, taste, hear, touch, etc. See. The tiny red ant, right? We can see it's small. We can see it's red. So that's imagery. That's pretty easy. Symbol, this one's interesting to me, right? Anything that stands or represents something else. This is pretty topical. Oftentimes, the American flag is a symbol, right? For some, it's a symbol of freedom, like this gentleman here who's standing, right? He has family who served in the country. So for him, that represents freedom. But for other people, that flag represents oppression, right? So that's what's really important about figurative language. It's not always interpreted the same way. All right, juxtaposition, one of my favorites, is when you place two things very close together in order to compare or to contrast them. So this picture of Shaq and Simone Biles cracks me up every time, right? Shaq, yes, is very big and Simone is very tall, but when you put them together like that, she looks itty bitty bitty and he looks monstrous, right? But when you see her next to her gymnast friends, we wouldn't be like, oh my God, she is so small, right? She looks much smaller when she's placed next to this big person. And that's the purpose of juxtaposition. Cataloging is just listing things. So in this poem, Fear by Raymond Carver, if you want to read that on your own, he's just listing a bunch of things that he's afraid of, right? Lots of things that cause him anxiety. Polysyndeton is another one of my favorites. That is when a writer uses, these are called coordinating conjunctions. We often refer to them as your fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, kind of back to back to back to back for purpose. So in this example, right, the author, it's the Bible, is repeating and just emphasizing, right, all the things. Right? If you were to say, I have math homework and English homework and science homework and history homework, right? You're just trying to use that conjunction to emphasize how much homework you have. And you can vary which conjunction you use and it's still considered polysyndeton. All right, anaphora, another one of my favorites, is the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of a clause. So the most famous example of that probably is Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, right? He's saying, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live, right? He's repeating that saying in order to emphasize kind of the change he wants to see in our country. All right, we have rhetorical questions. Those are questions that do not require an answer. So when our cat's saying, oh my God, is there anything more miserable than a wet cat? He wasn't really expecting the dog to chime in, right? Probably pretty annoyed that the dog actually did chime in. All right, diction is an author's word choice. So language is very nuanced and words can totally change or even slightly change the meaning of a sentence. So in this example, I want you to kind of think through these analysis questions. The man sighed hugely. So in your mind, what does it mean for someone to sigh hugely? When I picture this, I picture like a full body, like chest up kind of sigh, right? So consider what would change if that person would have said the man sighed loudly, right? That changes that sentence entirely, even if it is just kind of slight. So always pay attention to the words authors choose. People who are published for a reason. They're good at what they do. They don't just kind of throw things on paper usually, right? They're very mindful about their word choice. Right? And this one's easy to memorize. Diction looks like dictionary. Parallel structure, we will go more in depth on this one. But for now, just know it's the repetition of a grammatical form. So you always want to write in parallel structure. So a good example, I like swimming, biking, and watching TV, right? All my verbs are ing, ing, ing. This one is not parallel. The SAT would just rip me a new one for this. I like swimming, biking, and to watch TV, right? This is the one that doesn't match the other. So that would be wrong. But again, we'll look at that more in depth as we continue. That's kind of a more challenging one. All right, an apostrophe. This is apostrophe, the figure of speech, not apostrophe, the punctuation mark. So it's a figure of speech that addresses someone or something that is absent. It can be a person or it can be kind of an abstract idea. So in this example, again, read this on your own. It's saying, die not, poor death, right? The speaker is talking to death, an abstract idea. All right, and that is it. So what I want you to do, right, you can look at the slideshow as many times as you want, but also I posted a Quizlet link. I would review those terms, not just today, but throughout the year. Again, you should know these like the back of your hand, okay? Let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'm happy to help you.